Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Building Your Business right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. My guest today is Joyce Ingram. We're going to be talking about finances, one of them. And, business isn't just about whether you are a business entrepreneur or solopreneur, but it's also the business of you. And she says, taking personal responsibility to educate and understand how to have your money work for you. I think we all want that. Financial literacy isn't something really readily taught or available these days. And more people are Googling for their information and piecing it together, whether it's correct or not. People, and especially women, may be hesitant to share about their financial situation as they may feel ashamed or where they are currently are or don't understand even what's available to save money, pay off debt, to protect their income and more. Some may even feel they should be further ahead than what they are. Taking responsibility to educate and understand and have money work for you is the first step to start. But also back in her early 30s, she had a vision of a community whereby she supported women and children in need, a safe place for them to become educated in business, dress for success, a gym, hairstylist, and to help them get into business world feeling safe and confident. And now she has that financial vehicle to do this as well. So let's just dive right into it, because really, quite honestly, we all need a little help in this area. Life is extremely expensive, and so many people, they've been working or they've been at home raising children and they now want to start a business, or they're just juggling the business of life at home with finances, and things change so much and so fast. The other problem we have, we're being pitched things all the time and we never know, is it real or isn't it? And so we need to know what to ask even to actually understand who is the person that's going to help us get there. So welcome to the show, Joyce.
Thank you, Sarah. What a great introduction. Thank you.
It's all about you. And finances, I love the fact that, no shame, no blame. We all get into financial difficulty. I've just had a move that cost me way more than what I thought it was going to be. Always those kind of expenses come there. If you're trying to build a business or branch out in anything, things always cost more. And we're not always prepared for it. And we don't always know what to do about it when we get into trouble, do we?
Mm-hmm. That's correct. And understanding where you are, even on a daily or monthly basis, is a good start. To keep track of your expenses and know what's coming is a great way to at least be on track as far as budgeting for these unexpected expenses or preparing yourself in advance for these expenses.
Yes, right? The contingency plan, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And you used to be what, the pennies in the jar. What is a penny nowadays?
Now it's a toonie.
A toonie, yes, a toonie. Gosh, a toonie used to buy you something, and nowadays it's a parking meter for 10 minutes or something. Yes.
That's
So,
right.
we're seeing inflation grow at such a rate far more than our income. All right. And we're seeing everything costs so much more. And people are kind of, well, is this a time to branch out into business? How do I manage the business of running a household? Because, we're just so scared of all that inflation going at the present moment. What would be your advice for somebody looking at just trying to balance their books, never mind start a business?
Well, I think firstly is just to understand that inflation is here, and unfortunately, we do live in one of the most expensive areas in Canada. So just being aware of that. But something that came to me recently and through our product providers, it's like people these days, it's unfortunately we are not able to save our way to wealth.
Yes.
Now we have to find other ways to mitigate taxes for one thing, but also how can we generate more income in order to do that? And I think since COVID, more and more people are now taking on side hustles just to have that extra income. So that's one way of doing it. But is there a way that you can find a business that can pay you, because you're going to be working full time and then taking on a side hustle? People may not be up to that. So can you find something that is available for you that could be online or something easier to have that income that could be passive as well?
Right. Now, this comes into the question of that there's so much opportunity and so much saturation out there. How does one choose something? Like I can make you six figures in a month and I can do this and I can do that. It's finding that that's something that really is what it is, and how do we deduce that?
Well, I think, Sarah, that I find firstly is what's your passion?
Mm,
And if you have a passion for something, that's a great way to start. But also, when COVID came to play, it really re-emphasized to me the importance of having businesses that are available, whether COVID happens or not, because as we know, when COVID happened, everything shut down, right?
yes.
And when that was a real true testament to our business is when finance, everything actually quadrupled because we have insurance. People all of a sudden wanted to protect themselves from, anything to do with COVID because they're now secure with their insurance, or else they needed money. So how do we do that to make their money work harder for them? So that was really telling to me that if you're looking for a business to find something that could maybe continue on with or without you, and if COVID happens again, how do you pivot with that business, right? So that's something that really came to mind with our business. Like I said, that we were able to just pivot. All our providers went online, and we were just back in business like within a week of just being
Right.
online. And now we are lucky enough to do our business online or in person.
Right. Yes, I remember actually in the beginning of COVID of how many people would say, I'm perpetually on a plane. Now I can't be on a plane. So I do a Zoom call and in between I go surfing.
Yeah,
Suddenly it's become freedom and liberation. And other people saying, I've always done it in person. I don't know quite how to put it online and then putting it online and go, why didn't
yeah,
I do this sooner?
I know. Exactly. And that is such a case. And I think more and more businesses now, and because I came from a corporate background,
Hmm.
we weren't able to work from home when I was working,
Right.
right?
Yes,
Because
yes.
the trust issue, maybe that I
Mm.
would be doing my laundry at the same time I'm working. I don't
Oh,
know.
God forbid.
But then when COVID happened, we were forced to be at home. And in fact, they found that we were more productive working
Hmm.
from home than we were at the office because we spent our days working instead of, hanging out in the kitchen.
Yes.
And so that's part of it too. And now I think there's more of a hybrid version of working. And I think more and more people nowadays that have been working from home are used to doing that. So
Hmm.
they want to be able to go to the office, but yet have the ability to work from home. So that model I think, is staying in place.
And I think it makes sense. My son-in-law works at home 3 days a week, and 2 days a week he goes to the office. They have two small children, and they're in daycare because my daughter works as well, and then I
Yeah,
take them the other days. So, it all works out. But he actually says that being at home, he is so much more productive because he's not being bothered or somebody else on a phone call or somebody else asking him something. He can just concentrate and he gets more done. But then for the meetings and for the interactions, those 2 days a week, he gets it like that. So I think it is I mean, there was somebody who was saying, I had 10,000 square feet office. I've just reduced it to four.
yes, I agree. And I think a lot of us who work from home from COVID
Mm,
were sort of feeling claustrophobic. They needed that social
yeah,
interaction, and that's part of it nowadays. Is people need that
yeah,
human interaction. So I find myself going to the office most of the days, and then I work from home when I could, right?
yeah,
And but that's my choice. So I
yes.
work around my client schedules and my schedule. So it works both ways.
And and I mean, if you're a masseuse, obviously it's a little hard to massage over line. I mean, there's energy healing, but hands-on. There's
Mhm.
certain things that not, and that is different. But what I found with certain people, okay, I can't do that, but what I can do is teach self-care. And I
Yeah.
can put out different courses. What it allowed people to do was to think beyond the borders of expectation and just stretch and go, okay, well, what if I tried this?
Exactly. And I found myself doing Pilates or yoga
Yes,
online, right?
exactly,
And they
exactly.
once people realized, hey, I can actually charge for this, then they
Yes.
did. So, but yes, that's part of the, I think the pivoting is, and as a business owner, I think you have to learn how to pivot at a dime. If something happens, you have to be prepared or at least flexible.
Mm. And I also refer this to the business of running a home. There are people that I have the luxury of staying at home most of the time. A couple of times I started a business, didn't work with three children, so stayed at home. But I was the neighborhood mum. So after school, I never knew who was coming home for tea or who's going to stay for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And the internet was just kind of beginning at that point. We still had dial-up, right? So we didn't have YouTube or any of these things. But how many people now have realized, you know what? I've got this great recipe and I could cook it on thing and I can put it up there and like I'm getting all these hits and now actually I could charge for these hits or I can make money for these hits and it's like there's so many other different avenues of making. I just need a little extra money and then suddenly finding out, well, this is becoming mainstream.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. Like even like for myself, like I'm putting together something like an ebook and they're like, oh, now we can actually charge for that ebook. I'm like, oh, never thought of that before, right?
Yes.
And never even thought of putting out an ebook before. But so now there's so many opportunities available to us now that there weren't available even 5 years ago. So
Mm.
it's just a different way of thinking.
And like, it's been suggested for many a business person to put out an ebook. It doesn't have to be a big marathon thing. It could be just 100 pages, suggestions or this or that, whatever. It's kind of become your business card, your calling card. And you keep it, inexpensive for people, obviously make a little money
Mhm.
out of it. And people, if they're putting in a dime, they're more attention than something that's free. And but then now people have actually had, a taste of you. And now they know, I like the book. I like where they're coming from. I like what they're doing. It's the reason why I do podcasts. People get the essence of you, of what
Mhm.
it is that you're offering. But other people may be offering the same. Why you? Because they want that connection, that relatability. And when they feel it, it's like, oh, yeah, I really feel this person. So I know I can reach out to them. So whether you're doing podcasts or whether you're doing ebooks, this is all a way of a new form of marketing your business, isn't it?
Exactly. And it's built on trust and
Uh-huh.
rapport, right?
Yes,
It
yes,
all comes down to trust, especially when you're dealing finance, right?
yes, exactly,
So,
exactly.
but whether it's this finance or podcasting, whatever, I think people have to be relatable and they want
Hmm.
to trust you. And I think if you have that trust, then people will be able to, to do more business with you, or at least start that relationship, the rapport. I find is not all about just selling. Like before, it used to
Yeah,
be sales, but it's not
yes.
like that anymore
The
at all. Right?
flash. Every time you
Yep.
went to a site, oh, I hated those. So offensive. But you kicked the word relationship. Everything is a relationship, whether it's a business relationship, friend, or whatever relationship.
Hmm.
We want to know that we could actually go out and dine with this person or go and do business with this person, right? We want to know that we feel that comfortable in doing it. And that's something that's really, really important because it's especially around money. Not only you want to know that the advice is ethical and legal, it's
Hmm.
obtainable, it's something in your best interest, right? And it's something that because the person has listened to you and you've built a relationship, they understand what you need where you don't. So there's that trust factor built in there.
Exactly. And part of what I do is I help educate people too, because like you said earlier, that we're not getting that
Mm.
education through school. And even in university, I have a friend who has a degree in finance from university, and she didn't know what I was talking about. So she didn't even get that from university, 4 years of a degree. So
Right.
I really feel proud that what we do focus on is education first, so that when you
Mm-hmm.
and I are speaking and
Mm-hmm.
that, I'm going through the process of ensuring that you understand what it is you're learning and why we're doing it
Yeah.
and what is the end result of that, right? So that's all part of what we do, is providing that education. So having that and then building trust upon that and the rapport, I think over time, and that's what we want, is a long-term
Yeah.
relationship, because this is a long-term game here that we're
Yeah.
talking about. And to take you from where you are today to where you want to be, it's going to be a few years in there. So I want to be able to build something that, you can call me anytime, or we can work together. And what are your needs? Because your needs can change today, from
Yes.
next year, to 5 years from now, to retirement, right? So it's different for everybody. Like, I don't know about you, but I personally don't think I'm going to retire, totally retire. I like to slow down eventually and maybe work part-time, because now, having the Zoom
Yes.
ability, we can work anywhere these days. I could be,
I turned 70 this year. I've been doing this now 12 years, and it's something that is my passion and conviction, and everything that I've ever done in life has led to this.
yeah,
And I think so many people now uh, have left their world. Kids are grown up, they've left their business world, and they're starting little businesses. Right. And it's like, no, I'm now doing what I want to do. But
yes,
yes, I'd like to make some money on it. And so it's a whole new area, isn't it?
totally. And there's more and more people who are like, who maybe have slowed down and want to come back into the working world. But
Mm,
now, like you said, it's in their own terms, doing what they want to do, what they love to do. And, one thing that I realized too, for me to change from my corporate world to the finance, and I've always been interested in finance, but then again, when COVID happened, it's like everybody needs to know about money. Like,
yes.
everybody needs to understand money, right? So this is like a business that can go on forever. Like,
Yeah,
people
exactly.
always need us in some way, in
Yeah, and whether you
capacity.
decide not to work with that particular client anymore, maybe it's just retirees now, there's always a client for you, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
case in point that you made a 4 years degree and came out and didn't know what you were talking about. Well, that is based on education, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And the thing is about money, and especially online, and especially with the internet today, in so many ways that people can make money,
Mhm.
people need to be aware of the dangers of the
Mhm.
flags that are out there, the do's and the don'ts. And it really, I imagine for your world or your business world, it is constantly pivoting and changing as well, that you need to stay on top of.
Oh, 100%. And the other thing too is, being in our business, we have to be licensed. That's the other
Hmm.
thing. So it provides some credibility. We have to have our, education courses updated every year. We have to have 15 credits every
Hmm.
year. So there's some education credits to be had. But again, when you're looking for somebody, ensure that they do have a license for
Hmm.
sure, and that they're keeping up to date, and what is that they're doing. And it's good to interview people too, like,
Yes.
what sort of clients are you working with, or what do you see as this in the future. Ask
Mm.
questions, because there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it. In fact, the more questions the better for us, because if
Yes.
you're not asking questions, I'm a little worried, right?
Well,
But
you also want to know
again,
there's a synergy. Right.
yes,
If somebody's going, I want fast money, I want this and that, and you go, no, no, it's
yeah.
slow and steady. I've learned through my years that actually I quite like being the tortoise now and not the hare, because
Mm-hmm.
I kind of pay more attention to the present and people and time, of
Mm-hmm.
spending with people than constantly being in the rush. We're in our youth, we're always wanting that finish line. And so, that taking that time to actually ask the questions of getting to know someone on both sides, I'm not the person for you. I know somebody who is, and it's okay to
Exactly.
do that, isn't it?
Exactly. And not everybody's for me, and I know that.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's good to understand who your clients are too, right? And what
Mm,
they're looking for. I might find myself looking, all towards a certain clientele. So I'm sort of in the middle of figuring that out, because I've got a whole range of clients from
mm.
2 years old to 90 years old. So it's like, okay, there's different needs for each of those.
Yes.
But I think, when you're looking at businesses, it's definitely important to do your homework,
Yeah.
to find out about the company, and don't take the internet as
Yes.
gospel, I would
Yes,
say,
please,
because
please.
there's truth and truth and lies. I wouldn't say
Yes.
lies, but
No,
dishonest
no, there are. There's
in
fake news, definitely lies
yeah,
out there.
exactly.
They're
But I
wanting
would
you
say
to sign up for something and spend your money, and the next thing you know, they're no longer around. So yes, due
exactly.
diligence. Yeah.
So do your due diligence, like really research for yourself. Don't
Yeah.
take other people's opinion, is what I'm saying. Because when you read things on the internet, it's usually other people's opinion. So do you
Mm,
want to take their opinion, or do you want to figure it out yourself and form your own opinion?
yeah.
So definitely, because I've seen businesses come and go,
Hmm.
especially, understand what it is you're getting to, because people always want to get into the crypto business,
Yeah.
like the a coin. Well, I know enough about it, but I don't know enough. Just like Warren Buffett says, like
Yeah.
invest in things you know and be,
Yes. Yes.
So if you don't know about it, then I don't know if I would go for that
And,
because
and
even though
and
it
you know,
might
I've
be easy
interviewed
money,
people on it, and they know what they know today, but tomorrow is different. And
oh,
so
it's
if you're not
all
willing to kind of stay constantly current and almost ahead of the curve on something like that, is
exactly.
that the way you want to go? But it's still, because crypto is still so much a seesaw out there, you know, until they get security sorted out, it's not something that really is mainstream. So
Hmm.
it's
Exactly.
another gamble. And that's the thing, is there's things you can gamble in your finances and the things that you shouldn't gamble in.
Mm-hmm. For sure, definitely. And this is why education is so important and key for me when I'm speaking with a client, whether they come to me, going into debt and need help there, or they have $1 million, it doesn't matter. I
Yeah.
start at the same place. And so that we're both coming from the same place and
Hmm.
understanding each other. And then we have a different conversation depending on what it is you're looking for.
Yeah, it's not just you know, I always find this with a lot of salespeople. I mean, how many times have I been pitched something that is absolutely of zero interest to me? And instead of them asking questions of what I need and do they have something that of what I need, they're pitching what they like, and
Yes.
it's got nothing to do with me. And this is why you need those questions to find out, you know,
Hmm.
do I have what they need? Do they
Exactly.
even know what they need?
It's amazing. A lot of people don't know
No,
what they
no,
need.
no.
So it is getting curious and asking a lot of questions and finding out about like who is Sarah? Like what is it you want, Sarah? Like, you just said you turned 70. What are your other goals? You love podcasting, like just to get
Mm.
to know you on a deeper level, because I find that when you speak to people at first, the first few answers aren't quite it, but if you speak to them and have that really deep, meaningful conversation and you share and be, I guess, not vulnerable, but
Yes.
being transparent, I think it builds trust that much quicker too.
I think one of the really important things in building that rapport is somebody may come to you, well, no, you've got to do this and you've got to do that, and you just do this and you just do that. And I go, but none of that feels right for me. None of that
Yeah,
you're talking to a different client. I don't feel you're talking to me. And it's like, I'll be one, I've got nothing against money. But for me, it's all about investment in people and planet for money. I'm not money
hmm,
driven, right? I love money. Yes, I've got debt. I love money. But at the same time, it's when people put money first, I always feel there's a distrust for me or a lacking what your agenda is. And so
yeah,
I think that it's knowing, where does this person come? What's their relationship with money at first? Because then you know how to speak to them about it.
exactly. And there are personalities,
Mm,
right, for money.
mhm.
Whether you're a spender, a saver, or someone who just gives away all their money for philanthropy. So there are definitely personalities, and there's nothing wrong with any of it,
Yeah.
but it's being aware of, what your personality tends to be and find ways to mitigate whatever it is that you don't want to happen, right?
Yes, and
So,
you know, it's always a challenge for me because I'm one of those philanthropy and spenders. Yes, yes, and all of a sudden look at the Visa card. Yeah.
you can
And
do with a lot of money, even though you're a philanthropist. It's great because if you earn your money, you can do more with that
yes, I
money, right?
know, and I agree with that because I call that the enriched abundance state of being. Is the more you have, the more you can give away,
Yes.
right? So you know, I mean, Buffett does that. 50% of his money or more goes out, back into and that's the way it goes. And I think for a lot of people, they could be nervous around money, they could be scared of money, or they could be frivolous with money, or they could be dictated by money. And I think
Mhm.
knowing what kind of person you are, like again, if you're chasing the six figures as is that having that money is going to define you, you've got a lot of work to do.
Mhm.
Because money will never define you. It's there to empower and enable. It is not your identity. And
That's
I
right.
think for a lot of people, they also identify on the other side of, I don't have money, so therefore I must be less than.
Yeah.
So you look at it in relationships, money is generally the key in there. So we're immersed in money in some level in every aspect of our lives, aren't we?
Hmm. And I think, sometimes I wonder if age has something to do with it. Because when you're young, you
Yeah,
just want a sports car, you just want to earn
yeah,
money. as we get older, I think more mature, there's your purpose changes,
Yes.
and and
Less is
so
more.
exactly now it's like, oh, I don't want a big house anymore.
Yeah. No.
Don't give me that house
Yeah.
because I'm not going to be able to clean it. You know, so I think it just changes over time, but
Yes.
I think it's how we grew up around money too,
Yeah.
because I think now when I'm as a parent, it's like how and I was trying to be really careful when raising my boys. It's like
Hmm.
don't fight, about money, or there's always abundance. Come from abundance mentality instead of
Mm-mm.
from scarcity. So
Yes.
then that way, growing up, that they have that same mentality, even though sometimes inside you're shivering with
Yeah.
fear, but don't show it to them.
Right, exactly. Yes, I always grew up with money being an issue in some form of way, and then I married into that as well.
Uh,
Because you repeat patterns before you're even
yes.
aware that there is a pattern. And I think this again, know your relationship with money, and then go to the financial person who understands, your blockages or your strengths, and then
Hmm.
they'll be able to actually help you navigate it from where you are. There is
Oh,
no kind of one stroke and that's it.
no, not at all. And that's part of that relationship again,
Mm.
is like what we find with my clients is that we go through a whole, I look at them from a 30-foot thousand level. So I
Right?
look at the whole financial picture
Yeah.
on a holistic view. So, look at their income, liabilities, where they spend all their money, because if someone is spending a lot more than they're taking in and
Hmm.
something could be done about that, then we'll talk about that
Yeah.
and then help them bring down their debt, but also start their savings program. Because the other thing too I get a lot of is, well, I'll just start saving when I pay off my debt.
Hmm.
Well, we know how that happens. It's like people normally don't do that. So the best way to do it is to do both
Yeah.
simultaneously, right?
Yeah.
And then go through the whole program with them. And again, it's like having that relationship where you're teaching them along the way of what to do, what are not to do, and here are the options, and you get to decide. So it's
Hmm.
not me telling you what to do. You get
Yeah.
to decide what works for you.
Well, I mean, that's half the time, isn't it, in decision making? We don't know what to do. And also, we don't want to be told what to do. We want to be shown what we feel we're enabled to do.
Yes, and have conversations, because there's so many different ways that you can, you know, it depends on your priorities again. What's
Mhm.
your priorities? So if someone who's single versus someone who's married with kids, their priorities are different. So you
Same
may
if somebody who is borderline, retirement or senior. I mean, with
exactly,
seniors today, the senior rate doesn't go up, but expenses do. And so that means here you are, quote, quote, in your golden years, and you can't afford it. And so
exactly.
what do you do? And how many seniors then try and go back to work to find out there isn't any work because the youth are getting it? Fair enough. But how do we make money to subsidize what we're not getting from those twilight years?
Exactly. And and I used to get this often, now I understand it, when people say, well, when I retire, I'll be at a lower income level and I won't be taxed. Well, that's
Yeah.
not true,
No, you
right?
get taxed everywhere you go.
No matter what. And then you find yourself short. And
Mm,
so the seniors are now going back to work,
mhm.
or else they are trying to find another side business to
Yeah.
make, part-time, or do something that can help them with that. Because I know that for a fact that there's taxable events. One is, when you make money, you get taxed.
Hmm.
Two is when you invest and grow money, you get taxed.
Hmm.
When you
When you die,
retire,
you get taxed.
and when you die, you get taxed, no matter what. So how do we mitigate this,
Yes.
right? So we find solutions that help you depending on which part, where you are in your time frame, your time horizon,
Mm.
what are your needs, and what we need to do that, and how can we do it. So different stages. Again, it's not a one size fits all at all.
So obviously, dealing with somebody that's in debt, that's struggling, and opposed to somebody who's got a portfolio that they want managed, then a lot of people will say, I can't afford to get an advisor.
Well, you'll be lucky to hear that I don't charge a fee.
What? How do you earn your money?
So, with our company, we specialize in helping the middle market, because we know that there's a lot of people like us day to day who are struggling right now with
Mm,
income, with affordability, all these things. And so we specialize in helping the middle market that are maybe, like I said, in trouble, that are in debt, and we can help them with consumer debt. and then how to help them get out of it by education through whether it's the snowball method or avalanche method, or they might need a consumer proposal. So we don't know. So it depends how much they're in debt. And then you have somebody who has a $1 million portfolio, we can help them as well. So really, again, it really depends. But for fees, I think that's something that, again, do your research, because
Yeah.
there are some companies who have a minimum that they won't even talk to you unless you have $250,000.
Yeah, exactly.
And then for someone like us in our company, we help, if you come to us and say, I'm $100,000 in debt, we help you too. And
Wow.
there's no fee for us, or we
Wow.
don't charge a fee for our services.
Right.
So there may be a fee between the product provider if there is a connection there.
Hmm.
But as far as my company goes, we don't charge a fee for our service.
Wow. That is so rare and so cool. That is fantastic
So
because
that's
so
why
many people.
oh, sorry, go
No,
ahead.
no,
Sorry.
that's why you what?
I was just getting excited. And I think that's the reason why education comes first, because my first thing about my party is to help get people educated,
Yeah.
and then let's work on whatever.
Yeah.
So but again, to be able to access me without a fee, and to me it's so rewarding to at least
Mm,
know I've helped a family in some
yeah.
capacity.
Yeah. Exactly. I get kind of dictated to a great deal because sorry, you don't charge enough for this. And I said, if I charge that, I'm only getting those people. And I need, the stories that need to be told that maybe people can't afford, or charge just a little to cover the cost. Those stories are so impactful. You have no idea if they're
Mhm.
going to change someone's life or have an impact positively on someone's life. And it's all for the case of money. So I can't do that. I'm out of reach of the people
Mhm.
with the real stories, and I can't do that because that's not what I'm here for. So for me it's all on donation starting at 35 just to be able to cover the costs, and then it's up to people. And sometimes
Mhm.
I've got some great generosity. That's wonderful. Thank you. And other times, people ignore the donation button altogether. But
Mhm.
it's just a question of you have to go, yes, we need money. Yes, we need to get out of debt. But also, you've got to go with something that really is meaningful to you, right? And although we do need money and security of money, at the same time, we do want to stay within our ethical range of what we want to do.
For sure. Definitely. I agree with that. And and there's nothing wrong with charging
No.
people either, because you have to make a living
Yes,
somehow, right?
exactly.
And
Exactly.
but
That's why
we're
I keep it so
lucky.
minimum. So it just, but I mean, I have had the stories of people that, they're seniors themselves and they don't have the money, but that story is
Hmm.
so enriching. And,
Hmm.
for those, the Robin Hood type thing, but I think we're all kind of anxious about money right now because, here where I am in the province, the gas is going up and down like a yo-yo every 5 seconds. Right? You
Hmm.
turn around, this has gone up, that's gone up, this has gone up, that's gone up. You go to the grocery store. I used to pay $3 for this. Now it's $6. Where's the justification for it? And
Yeah,
but it's the reality. They're getting away with it. And, government is saying, no, no, you can't do that. But that will take 10
hmm,
years to get them to, sort it
hmm,
out. And in the meantime, you're going, well, it means I have to go without this today because of that today. And then people are looking at how do I manage my money, and how do I go and find work? How do I go and do something where I can still have that dignity of living
hmm.
and also having a life, which is so important.
I know it's so sad when I hear about, as you get on with your life, instead of
Yeah,
living your life, you're
yeah,
cutting back on what you want to do.
yeah, yes.
So that's not what I want for people.
No, I mean, they've
And
worked all their lives, they're retired, or, they're raising a family and they've tried to put money by for education or this or that, and then this expense and that expense, and you start seeing the educational fund being eroded,
I
right? So,
know, exactly. And
mm,
I think that's why it's important, because when I came into finance, and I don't know about you, but when I was first introduced to insurance, I used to go, no, 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 it's
yeah,
not for me, right?
yeah,
And most people still do. But once I got the education and learned about what you can really do with an asset class like an
yeah,
insurance, because I've been reading a lot about the Rockefellers, how the rich get richer
yes,
or
yes.
wealthier, for business owners to mitigate paying a lot more taxes,
Hmm.
if you're incorporated. There are so many different ways that you could use insurance as an asset class to build upon that for your later years, or
mm,
even as you're building your business.
mm.
I think, for people is to be open to
Yes,
conversations about hearing. It may not be for you, it's not for everybody, but
right.
at least be open to the concept of something that we could help you with. Just because you don't make that money or have the savings, it doesn't mean that you're dead in the water, right? There
Yeah.
are some ways that we can help you, whether it's through a savings program, or we can offer a mentorship program, which helps you to provide you the financial education to get paid for it yourself. So
Mm,
there's so many different ways. And, we have an opportunity with our company that you could come into our program with a mentorship program as a side business, like how I started,
mhm,
and make this and I turned it into a career because I
mm.
found it so fascinating, as well as I'm able to, again, maybe in my later years now that I could be more purposeful in what
Yeah.
I do and how to help people.
Exactly. And a lot of the time when you're young or middle-aged and you're starting a business, you're not thinking of 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the road.
Yes.
And you really, what you've got to do is, yes, pay attention to the now, because what you're seeding and watering today is what's going to grow. But you also have to have a certain eye on the future and
Yes.
how to protect yourself against things. I mean, look again with COVID. And my son has a restaurant. And
Mm.
he just snapped his Achilles 2 days before he just had an
Oh,
operation when COVID came about. And I'm on the island, so I went over there to help out. And then COVID, so I can only stay there 2, 3 days and get over before I thought maybe they'll close the ferries off and I couldn't get home. So he pivoted from couldn't have anybody in. So okay, now it's takeout. He
yes.
lost half of his staff, obviously, couldn't do anything about that, but kept as many staff as he could going.
Mhm.
And then kind of the catering and this and that. And of course, it's branched off into being something even bigger now. So
Mhm.
sometimes when we look at those obstacles in our way and you learn to pivot and look outside of, there is no box, folks, look at
Yes.
a different lane, you'll actually see, like with online business, right? All of a sudden, oh, I can do this as well.
Yes. For sure. I think that's the new way of thinking is we're
Hmm.
not longer in that box now. We're not,
Yeah.
so now we can, what if you ask the
Yes.
questions, ask the right questions, right? The what
Yes.
if questions, like
Yeah.
what if I were to do this? And
Yeah.
there's no right or wrong. It's just now to investigate how you can do that. But where I also find that too is as generations go through
Hmm.
that you learn from your parents learn from your other parents, and it,
Yeah.
it sort of generation it gets passed down. So that's why when I'm speaking to um, adults, it's like you may have learned your way and you've got your way, but then did you learn everything that you thought you
Yeah.
might? So it's challenging sometimes to talk to their parents because they think, well, we have somebody already, and
Yeah.
or I'm good, but then are you teaching your kids these things, or are you starting them early? Because like you said,
Yeah.
the earlier the better, because they've got the time for their money to compound, for everything to compound. And a lot, when you're younger, it's a lot less expensive for insurance too.
Oh gosh, yes, exactly. Just a quick pivot here. The Our Forgotten Children. It's a book that I produced. The 15 people in there that have contributed chapters around really where we're going wrong with our children,
Mm.
educationally and everything. But one of the chapters in here is on finance, and
Okay.
especially yes, when they're young, what is their relationship? What have they grown up with your relationship? But from at least the age of 15, start now actually having them looking at money, the earning of it, the saving of it, the investing of it, and putting their mindset into that. So when they leave school and get into the workforce, they have that relationship with money already and don't kind of suddenly go, oh, freedom, I can go and do this and do that, but I'm broke.
Exactly. I would start even earlier than
Yeah.
15.
Hmm.
I would start like part of 10, like even earlier,
Yeah.
like getting to play with money, like cashiers,
Yes.
the toy money,
Yeah.
Monopoly, that sort of thing. That's all around educating
Right.
about money. But like you're right. I mean, even when I left school, I moved out to Vancouver, and it's like, oh, how does a checking book work? Like, I don't
Yes.
understand.
Yes. Oh
You
gosh, I
want to
remember
taught
my
me.
first check that I wrote, and it is like I did it all wrong. You know?
Well, I have money in the bank. I have checks. I have money in the bank, right?
Well, of course, now we have no excuse because we can go online and we can get checks and
Yeah,
you're being overdrawn or this or that. Back in that day, we found out we were overdrawn when we went to the bank or a check bounced,
yeah,
right? So,
that's right.
today there are good things and bad things against it. The bad things is is don't be enticed in by the carrot. If it feels too good to be true, it generally is. And what is their market? Are they just going for high enders, or are they, are they really speaking to you? But the other thing is that yes, don't just Google it, net blank thing, but we do have online banking. You can pay attention to your money. There are investment portfolios. There is this education and this, that. We actually have the ability to be more savvy today.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the beauty. But again, there is oversaturation, as there is in everything. So you've got to be, again, discerning as what is true and what isn't. So
Mhm.
use the internet, use these podcasts to listen and learn, and then go, if that person I really felt was talking to me, I'm going to reach out. Get a human on the other side that's willing to go face to face
Mhm.
and talk to you and not pitch their agenda on you, but listen to you as to what you need.
Exactly. I agree, 100%.
It's a big one. I mean, I look at governments and I guess sometimes, who's your financial advisor? Because there seems to be so much waste. And it's like, this is our money that we're giving to you. And like, what are
Oh,
you doing with it? And then trying to extract anything back from you.
oh my God. Don't even get me started. They used to be a client of mine, and I remember going there and offering them solutions. And it took
Mm,
me 10 years to implement something because they had to have meetings after meetings to
yeah,
talk about it. And
I
my
know.
solution was this. And they're like, their words to me were, "You're too logical. You're from the private sector. You're too logical. We don't do things this way." I'm like, oh my God. So I thought I could never work for government
No,
because
no,
it
no,
drive
no.
me crazy.
Absolutely.
You know,
It kind of reminds me of in the Lord of the Rings when one of the hobbits is trying to get the trees to understand there's orcs, and they have this meeting. Well, we've decided that you're not an orc. It's like, hello. And it's
exactly.
and this is why I actually say, and I say it over and over again, if we want solutions, we the people will bring about the solutions that the government will eventually adopt.
I hope so.
But don't go look to the government for any solution.
No.
It's driven by the individual, it's driven by the communities, it's driven by us knowing what's needed and creating the change.
Hmm. And knowing what it is you want, I
Hmm.
think, and going for whatever it is, and look within first too, because
Mm.
there's going to be help available for you. It's just looking for the right person who's for you.
Yes. And that's important. You are, again, you don't want anybody that's going to go, oh, how much debt are you in? Or don't you get what I'm saying? You don't want that. It's like, going to the doctor and you want to feel you can trust that person. It's the same with
Yeah,
your money. You want to know that somebody is hearing you, listening to you, understanding that you're going to get into trouble sometimes, or, like, oh gosh, this has come up. I don't know what to do. And feel
hmm,
that that person has your best interests at heart. We don't always feel that with certain businesses. We feel it's their interest, not mine. And, having somebody that's there going to listen, I'm here to serve you, not you
yeah,
here to serve me.
exactly. Yes, I have sleepless nights thinking about ways of helping somebody. I mean, so definitely sometimes you take it too much to heart as
Yes.
well. You have to have boundaries.
Boundaries, yes.
But at the same time, I care enough. That's the reason why we do what we do. I think
Yeah,
for such a long time is because we care.
exactly. And when you care, I mean, I always say to people, what's your why?
Yeah,
If you understand your why and the drive behind it, and you understand there's struggles or there's challenges in it, but you're still going to do it because it's what you have to do, it's who you are,
yes,
it's your meaningful purpose, then you're on the right track, right?
exactly. I agree. Yeah.
Now, have you written any books or been in any books?
Well, geez, you know what? I am in this project called Mission Accepted, the 262 women.
Would it be this book by any chance?
Any chance it is one?
I don't know where you are. Literally, it's funny. I just did a show and we had complications with Zoom and it paused and there was a knock on the door and it was my book. And she's another person from 262.
Oh,
So
okay.
I've only just found myself and my daughter. I'm slowly going through things. So I don't know where you are
I
in
don't
the
remember
book.
either,
So
to be honest
it's
with you. I,
unfortunately, they took all the page numbers out, which I don't understand
oh,
why.
oh,
So
did
it
they?
makes it a bit
Okay.
difficult. Um, But my daughter is in here as well. And are you going to be at the June 6th
I am.
event? Oh, I
I
get
can't
to
wait
meet you
to
in
meet every.
person.
Yes,
Wonderful. Love
I'm so
that.
excited. So, like you, like, but well, you've written books, obviously,
Mm,
but I haven't. And being in this industry for
yes.
5 years, and this is all part of the learning for me
Yeah.
too. Is helping women is to become confident in themselves as a person, to
Yeah.
stretch themselves more, and to
Yeah.
get yourself out there. So, part of this podcast is the same thing for me.
Yes.
Is to being out there and available to help people, and putting my story into that book is one way of doing it as well. So I'm really pleased with the project and
Yeah.
what we're able to do for
Yeah.
sure.
And the impact,
Oh,
that they may not be big chapters, but it's poignant. It's the words are powerful and they're written by women who care and are passionate, which is wonderful. It's actually my fourth book in 5 months. I wrote my own memoir, then I produced this forgotten book, and then I'm in another book, Dare to Live Fearlessly, which is only ebook
wow.
right now, waiting for the paperback. And then this one. So it's like, and of course, it's years that I hadn't done anything, and everybody's saying, Sarah, why aren't you doing a book? And then suddenly four books at one time. So maybe this is an invite for you right now to start writing your book on because what you have to share from the perspective of money, our relationship with money, and the different ways of looking at it. The boundaries, not the borders, the
Hmm.
flexibility, the adaptability, all of that is just so needed. We get books on how to make money and where to invest, but how about that relationship with money and being able to go with the flow of,
Yes,
money in our lives is going to go up and down like a seesaw, right? How do we keep the
definitely.
stability, or what do we do when it goes on the down and not the up? Or even when it's
Hmm.
on the up, what do we do? You don't just go relishing, take some of that and put it
Exactly.
aside for a down day. So I think
Hmm.
that book's waiting for you to write, darling.
Thank you. That's another one. Do you know, funny? I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning one day and go through the ABCs and
Yeah.
and writing down. And again, it comes down to education: is what are assets? And I went
Mm.
through the whole alphabet in my sleep. I woke up with a book in my head, and then
Yay!
um, and then today I had another idea that I'm going to come up with something like a checklist for people for emergency contacts, emergency cases, to have
Mm.
something on you as well as at home. So because life happens,
Oh,
right?
life does happen. And boy, again, in 12 years of doing this and over 3,000 shows, I've interviewed the life happens. And, and generally it's nothing we were ever prepared for. But sometimes we can be prepared, but the unexpected happens, or something that you were prepared for, definitely something different happens. But then what do we do with it then? And
Yes.
that's the important thing. And I think, the emergency contact thing is really important. Um, I'm
Mm.
always thinking about it, never getting round to it. I've just moved to my Hope Forever home. My daughter and son-in-law bought me a home. So I've
Oh,
moved from Victoria to Nanaimo, and I'm busy undoing boxes and getting myself sorted out.
okay.
And it's now time for me to kind of look at, the will, which so many
Hmm.
people haven't
Mm.
done and I haven't done, and looking at, what goes where, when, and everything else. And I think it's very important that one of the things, even with our finances, you know, um, we die and our children inherit that mess. And if we do not leave instruction, or if we haven't got things kind of nicely tidied up, we're giving them a nightmare.
Exactly. And that's exactly the message I want to share with people.
Mm.
It's not about you. It
Hmm.
may seem like about you, but it's what you're leaving behind,
Yes,
right?
very
It's the
important.
legacy and what
Yeah.
you're leaving. Do you want to leave them something that's memorable and that it eases them while they're going through grief, or do you want them to handle, during grief? It's just so many different ways of looking at it, and I want people to have the positive response to that.
And added to that, again, doing so many shows on dementia and Alzheimer's, is that when it first comes on and it's being diagnosed and while the person is still cognitive, this is the time to look at the finances, look at the will, putting things in order, even choosing the place that you're going to go to when it gets beyond you being able to be at home. That for the loved ones means we know what is happening. ABCs are in order. We know you
Exactly.
chose this home. We're not imposing it on you. It's
Yes.
hard enough to lose that person in that way because it's like a living
Absolutely.
death without having all that anxiety. Well, how do you know that you don't end up with an illness and you cannot make those decisions anymore? You want to be able to hand that portfolio over to your
Hmm.
family where they can understand what's
Hmm.
going on. It's very important.
Very important. And I don't know why. I think it's almost like a taboo subject. So we need to become more comfortable having
Yes.
these conversations.
Yes. And yes, why is it taboo? I mean,
Yeah.
um, I was married to an Oriental gentleman where they don't believe in wills.
Oh, exactly.
And it's like to do so is to invite death. And I think, no,
Yeah.
it just creates problems. And so, I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that we look at that being done traditionally, and there's been a fear factor put around it. And then you look at it, it may have been true back then, but
Yeah.
it's not relevant now. And let's look at the now and what we need to do. And,
Hmm.
there's certain superstitions that are good and certain superstitions
Yes.
that just shouldn't go with you.
Yes. Having a Chinese husband, Asian, Chinese.
Yes,
Okay, I
Chinese.
can
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. Yes, so
Yeah.
yes, and but also the relationship with money there was very different too. So yes, but yeah, it's all very, very interesting. So now people have heard this show, they've got something they want to talk about with finances, or they're just confused, or they're in debt, or they don't know whether to invest, so they want to start a business. They just got to talk about money. How do they get hold of you, and what's the procedure?
Well, they can find me. They can email me. I can actually give you my phone number, which people can have access to me,
Hmm.
250-858-3563. Or you can go to joyceingram.com is one of my websites, as well as my email address is a little bit, you can do actually ingram.joyce5761 at gmail.com.
Great. So they can reach out and set up a call and just start the conversation and see where it's at, because that's the important thing. It's that first step, right?
Yes. And
And it you don't expect to come to the call knowing all the things that you want to ask, because you don't know sometimes what it is you need to ask, but become
exactly.
open. All right. And just willing to say, look, at least this is my issue. I don't know what to do about it. And then you know how to ask those
Mhm.
questions then.
Exactly. And also to just mention, I'm on social media as well. So I'm
Hmm.
on LinkedIn under Joyce Ingram Financial Services. I'm also on Instagram, JOINGRAM1, like Joe Ingram.
You're on
And
Facebook
on Facebook, Joyce Ingram
at
as well.
50.54. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got you there as well. So whichever way you feel comfortable
Yes.
and
And
reaching
love,
out, Yeah.
love to speak and just have conversations.
Yes.
That's what I'm about, is getting to know who you really are, what is it you're looking for, and how I can help.
Right. And you don't know where you're at with your money, whether you're young, middle, old, or facing a crisis, or just like, I've got a lot of money and I've just downsized my house and I've got this money. And I'll give you a scary thing is
Yes.
in Victoria, a couple who had 1.5 million went
Hmm.
into retirement home, right? And
Okay.
they thought that would last them throughout their life. They outlived that
Yes.
expense. And they went from being in a nice room, food, this and that, put to the basement in cots, and they're in the hundreds,
Oh my gosh.
right? So they thought 1.5 million when they went into
Yeah.
retirement complex that would take care of them, and it didn't.
It
And
didn't.
that's
The thing,
scary.
yeah, that's scary. That kind of happened to my mother-in-law as well.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's sad because at the end we're thinking, okay, how do I support her now? Right?
Yes.
So it's
We need
sad,
a
but
lot of
it's
golden girl type homes.
exactly.
You
But
know, a
there
lot
are
of
solutions out there for everybody. It's just a matter of looking in the right place with the right person, and we can help you with that. I mean, if we can, great. If not, we know somebody who probably could.
exactly. And don't be willing to downsize. Like I am actually living in a retirement complex that actually is a mobile home, which I never would have thought of before.
Oh, okay.
Um, I'm in over 1,000 square feet. I have a garden. I have a beautiful monkey tree, trees on lakes and everything all around me. And it
Hmm.
was less than half of what a pokey apartment would be.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm in a complex 55 plus where people are friendly and they say hello and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's so much more, it means that the financial burden, if you're selling a house, you can afford that. You can
Mhm.
afford even the expenses of it going up through the years because it's affordable and it's also at the same time inclusive rather than separating you
That's right.
as you would get from a pokey apartment or something. So
Mhm.
it's, would I have thought of it before? You can't afford trailer homes, and now, gosh, I am seeing these mobile parks opening up everywhere. And some of them are really, really incredibly
Mhm.
exclusive. And it's like that we have to look at what we used to think was acceptable and to what is now in reality,
Yes.
right? And be more open-minded.
Right. And you have a brand new community that you,
Exactly.
right? So,
Exactly. And my
mm,
grandchildren, they're 10 minutes away, love coming to grandma's.
mm.
Right?
Well,
So,
good for you. Good for
so
you, Sarah.
it's being open-minded. Don't let kind of old ideas get in the way of what today is and what tomorrow can be.
Exactly. 100%. So thank you for that.
I'm looking forward to meeting you. And folks, you can just go onto Amazon and put in Mission 262. The book will come up. It's 262 women sharing their wisdom, and Joyce is in here sharing hers. And it's a very powerful book that it really is empowering not just women, but when we empower women, we empower everyone. Everyone. So support her on that book as well. And let's get behind her on the next book because I want to interview you on that one. So let me know when it's done
Thank you,
because
Sarah.
I think it is so very much needed, definitely. So thank you for spending time with us here today and sharing your wisdom and the fact that your services are free. That is golden. For so many people, what gets held back is the fact that they just can't afford the services that can help them, or they're just too far out of reach, or they're only dealing with people that are very rich and then don't take care of that middleman or, the lower income person. So the fact that your company does and you do, kudos to you.
Thank you, Sarah. And I look forward to meeting you on June 6th as well.
Yes, definitely. That's going to be very, very exciting. So, folks, remember, don't have a bad relationship with money. Money is just a tool. It is a commodity that puts the roof over the head. You are not defined by it, whether it's low or high. You just need to have a relationship with it where it's working for you and you're not working for it. And Joyce is here to help you, and it's free. So
Thank
until
you.
next time, folks, remember, let the money work for you. Bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.